Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. I am very excited to introduce our speaker for tonight. Suzanne is someone who I met a little over a year ago, and she has absolutely just jumped in, said yes to everything that I have asked of her. Is someone who I've just grown to love and adore, and I love all the experience she shares with me. She's so thoughtful and very thought-provoking. So I'm excited for you to
Mhm.
hear her thoughts and experience with the third step. So I'm going to pass it over to her.
Hi, everyone. Suzanne, alcoholic addict, and I was at Caron December 23 to January 24. And when I heard that they were having a step series, I immediately like tapped somebody. I think Christine told me, it's just like, we're having a step series. And I was like, I'd love to do step 3. And I have no idea why I offered that because I don't like public speaking at all. But that was one of those God moments for me. A little back story on me. I was raised in a family that weaponized religion. My mother was a Bible thumper, and whenever we did anything wrong as children, we were beaten in the name of God. I was disowned in the name of God when I came out of the closet when I was 15. And I had a really hard relationship with my mother over that. And so anytime this God thing came up, I was just the only God I knew's last name was Damn It. And but I knew that to really get into this program, this third step, which is made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, that as I understand Him, peace was the most important part of it. When I was doing step 2, I had come to, made that kind of knew there was a power greater than myself, but my sponsor, I had to borrow my sponsor's God for quite a bit. I just didn't get this. It says how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. That willingness, that surrender. And I always heard the third step, the 3 steps. It's like, I can't, he can, let him. And so I was really determined to find a God of my understanding, despite the history I'd had with this. So I'm one of those knowledge seekers. I read the 12 and 12, the big book, breathing underwater. All of those things kind of help me formulate a God of my understanding. And I started praying about it, even though I didn't know exactly what I was praying to. But I had, this is an action step. And the way I kind of look at it is either one step, 1, 2, 3, the floor, or 1, 2, 3, the door. And the floor is the getting on your knees. And so I had started praying and wanted some, revelation and everything else. And I was going on a business trip. And I found God in Miami. And I was going on a business trip and I was listening to a podcast called Sober Speak. And this guy started his speech with the third step prayer. And it says, God. And he says, now I call my God over like it's a friend. And he's like, I offer myself to thee. And I thought, oh shit. I remember I was sitting in a lounge chair in Miami with my headset on, and I felt this overwhelming sensation of a presence that was bigger than me. And it was like the light switch of recovery came on. It was, I would say, the the despair and the darkness that I had been feeling. This third step prayer was the portal into peace. And I just felt this like very overwhelming kind of feeling of relief at that very moment. I remember calling my sponsor and telling her about this experience. And she's like, that was your spiritual awakening. And during that period of time, I started looking back and reflecting on the miracles that had happened to get me to where I was at that very moment. And I was a very sick person when I got to Caron. I was in detox for 5 days. I had one of those people that was a shadow for 7. I was on a taper for a couple of weeks. My cognitive thought process was the lowest 5% of people in my age group. I couldn't I couldn't take care of myself at all. And here I was 6 weeks later on a business trip in Miami. If that's not a God moment, I don't know what is. But so when I talk about God, though, it's of your understanding. It's of my understanding. I've heard God is us. It's a universal spirit. It transcends, to me, transform all religions and faiths. I think God is just this ultimate, like a power and energy, and that energy that I find and feel in my heart and in my soul is just um, it's just added upon. So if I focus on the positive that I'm getting, I then it becomes even bigger and bigger every time in my life. But anytime, like I've lost a mother in recovery, I've lost a best friend in recovery, I've lost a couple of people in recovery, but every time I'm experiencing a lot of pain and suffering and everything else, I can go back to that moment on that lounge chair in Miami and kind of like harness that energy and be like, I'm going to be okay. And it's instead of, the courage, the faith. But, with fear plus faith is courage. And so and whenever I'm facing life gets lifey in recovery, I can really kind of put that power in between me and the problem set, and it just kind of seems to dissipate. It gives me a different viewpoint of things. Um, I often say this is the point where I stepped off the highway to hell and got on the stairway to heaven. And one of the things I did when I was trying to figure out the God of my understanding is I'm one of those people that visualizes a lot. And so I thought about it like a record. My will was my record had, I was, the songs of drinking a glass of loneliness, cocaine, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good. All of this just really negativity was my record. And as soon as I decided just to turn that over, I was like, I'll let God be the DJ of my life. Let him play the music. Let that higher power of my play my music. I don't have to control this anymore. And that was what one of the big key things was a control, an issue. But they say surrendering truly is winning. And until I could let go, I couldn't really get into the recovery boat all the way. And it was just painful. And I never wanted to feel that way again. I just didn't want to feel that way again. And so, when I started working the steps, it's called work for a reason. I just was I would look to others for information with other people talked about their spirituality. If something they said made sense, I would get their phone number, I would call them. I had a great spiritual advisor at Caron, and it started opening up windows of opportunities into my spiritual recovery. And to this day, that's like the most important part of my program. I can always go back to that. And once you've done step three, 4 through 12 are coming, and there's a storm brewing because for me, I had to walk through and unpack a lot of things that happened in my life. Um, and I needed somebody to walk that walk with me. And all of those things that were coming my way that I didn't even know were coming my way, I could handle, I could manage, I could learn from, I could grow from, I could get some peace from. Um, New beginnings started. And one of the biggest gifts of just saying I don't want to control it anymore is that I'm surprised by some really good things today. Things I had no like completely unknown expectations. Um, no expectations. Just genuinely surprised by people, places, things. This helped me repair a lot of fractured relationships. It helped me let go of ones I didn't need anymore. It's helped me formulate, uh, you know, it's helped me stand up for myself too. It's given me some compassion, some empathy. This step has just done a lot for me, if you can't tell. But it's just the cornerstone of my recovery program. I have some notes, and I think I hit on most of everything. Um, the I can't, he can't let him. But I think the biggest thing is just the 12 steps: give it up, clean it up, make it up, keep it up. And this is part of the give it up process where I had to really focus on that surrender and that action and doing the work to get me where I needed to be in my recovery. But I think that's all I've got. It may be a little too short, but hopefully that's enough. And thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Appreciate you sharing so much and all of your thoughts and comments on step 3. I am going to open it up for